As we enter another spring market, buyers are being told it's the best time for them to put their hand up at auction, but it's still a very daunting task. With some tips on buying during the spring market from Infolio Property Advisors, Cameron Deal, from the REIV, Robert LaRocca, and from Empower Wealth, Ben Kingsley. Now, starting with you, Cameron. I thought you'd like to start off today.
I would.
Your advice to people looking to put their hand up or at auction or private sale and buy in spring?
Well, often what you'll see, Des, through spring is more stock available, so buyers have more choice. So it's a great time to be active in the market. It also gives the flexibility of having the option of more than one property. So a lot of buyers that have actively been looking through winter have looked at one, had all their eggs in one basket, and then haven't had a second choice and have had to start the search again. Spring gives you the ability of potentially having more than one choice and maybe 2 or 3 homes you've got some interest in.
More stock on the market. We did hear this last spring as well, Robert, and it didn't. A lot of people selling their homes were hoping, well, maybe there's going to be an upturn, but it all was a little bit of a dead cat bounce, as they say in the stock market.
We've not seen a lot of change in capital values over the course of this year, and we probably won't in spring either. And there's really 3 things I think that people active in the spring market will find. One, there'll be a little less hands going up at auctions, if only because there's been a shift in a number of suburbs from auction to private sale because of the state of the market. Secondly, buyers will find that right across Melbourne in particular, they'll be able to buy property at prices below the peaks that it had 2 years ago, so that's good buying opportunities that they'll face. And thirdly, they also might find quite oddly for spring in some respects is that because there is not a lot of homes on the market compared to most springs, they still may not be able to find the home that they want. So there might be a stock selection issue and a mismatch because, of course, there might be more homes on the market, but not every home is suitable for every purchaser. So it's going to be an interesting spring.
What about, we were advising the potential buyers, Ben, what about potential sellers? What advice would you have for them?
Look, obviously there's a bit more stock out there. One of the interesting things about this current market is usually when you see a running market, you see a lot more quality stock hit the market. Whereas what I'd be saying to sellers now, if you've got a good property but you want to upsize into the next property, now is a great time to just feel the market out. You don't have to sell. You can actually put your market up for a listing, engage an agent, but look around there because what I'm seeing now is a great time to get into that next level of property. Whereas what usually happens is everyone are like sheep. Once the market starts to move, then they think this is the right time to go. And they've got a lot more competition and they're going to pay a premium when they get into that next level of market.
I've been saying sort of one suburb closer. I mean, normally in the stock selection, when you're looking for a home, we want to live there, but you can't afford it, so you go one suburb out. This spring, you might be able to look one suburb in. And get some good value.
Exactly, Robert. I tend to agree. I just think now's the time. If you were aspirational about getting into another market, affordability is great. Interest rates are at a good level. So I just think it really is. If people are looking to sell, it's not a bad time at all.
People are being very conservative, both buyers and sellers at the moment. That's going to remain until we see overall confidence levels pick up.
And I'd say that for auctions. I mean, the quality properties still go to auction and they still sell. I mean, the A-grade properties with the great location, the great aspect, the good floor plans, the good land sizes in the right locations, they continue to do well in these types of markets, and they do well in any market. So,
Hawthorn clearance rate just under 80% this year.
Exactly. A perfect example where there's still pent-up demand in those quality locations. But for those people who are looking to buy in other areas, and certainly in the city fringes and the rims, and they're looking for a lifestyle choice or they're looking to buy to be close to mum and dad, they've got a real suite of great options at the moment. I mean, there's plenty of stock out wide, and those people can look to buy and buy wise, and they can negotiate hard, can't they, Cam?
They can. So there's different segments will determine method of sale often. So we're seeing that top end, probably $2 million plus properties. They've come back in value in some respects, and there's great buying opportunities in that range at the moment. Your middle ground and family accommodation on, say, 500 to 700 square metres of land, that is still actually a very strong segment of the market, say between 8 and 1.5 million. And numerous auctions that have gone up over the last couple of months, and there's several, particularly in those suburbs that we've mentioned before, Hawthorn and Glen Iris. We were unfortunate one in Henrietta Street, Hawthorn last weekend. There was one in Murnong Street, Glen Iris, which was an outstanding result. But that family accommodation, say between 500 and 700 square metres of land, is still very popular, and it's the trade-up segment of the market which is still performing. They're coming from a smaller single front, or they're coming from an apartment, and they're looking for that sort of 3+ bedroom type type property on a decent parcel of land.
And agents will tell you don't keep your hands in your pocket at an auction because you don't get first right to deal with the agent. But would you be mad to put your hand up at auction at the moment, or should you, if there's no one else bidding, should you wait till after and try and haggle then?
I think in some respects that you really just need to set your budget, and go into that equation with your budget. And if your aim is to buy the property, you've got a budget limit to do that. You obviously don't want to spend more than that. Do bid. Do put your hand up there. That's the whole point of the auction. It might be, vendors have to reduce their expectations in markets like this sometimes. So, you might be that you may not meet their reserve, but they might come down a bit as well. So, you don't buy the property by hiding away.
What about from an investment point of view, Cameron? Are you moving into the spring market, obviously, but what are you seeing?
Well, two auctions in the same street can have a different outcome at the moment, but in relation to your process of passing in and properties that pass in at auction and not bidding and those types of things, if you want to retain control, you must bid. You must be the highest bidder, give yourself the first option. If you don't want to pay the vendor's reserve price, walk away. It's very simple, but keep control. As soon as the auction is done, and if the property is passed in and you don't have control, any agent can go and speak to numerous buyers in the market. It becomes non-transparent again. You are not quite confident about what the other person might be doing. At least you have control if you bid. And we'll always recommend our clients to bid and participate at auction. Put yourself in the box seat to buy property.
Are your clients coming to you saying they think it's a great market for them, a time to add to their investment portfolios?
So absolutely, it's a great time to be adding property to your portfolio. Those key sort of investment properties, strata title, quiet residential, street type properties, have probably come back by about 5 or 6%. We did see a rebound in the last couple of months, which was reported by the REIV. We've probably seen a just over 2% improvement, and I actually feel there's a long way to go in the market at the moment. I still feel that it's when, not if, the median value is going to hit 600, and I'd expect it probably to be sometime early to mid next year. There is a lot of activity in the market. There are a lot of people watching, just not doing things, and they're already warming up, ready to go, I'm feeling.
Would you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, look, I'd agree. I think once we get the supply level down a little bit, and I just think affordability will be that trigger. So I think you'll see first home buyers now opening the papers and actually starting to sort of see a bit more of their activity in the market. Once we see first home buyers in the market, we see a bit of that pent-up demand, momentum moves on, and then we're basically going to see investors also then haggling, and then we'll see price growth. But I think it's probably going to be sort of mid next year.
Last word for you, Robert?
Ultimately do your research. We always say that, but we've got a great new service on the REIV website, the REIV auction map, where you can go in every week, click on all the suburbs in Melbourne. We colour code them in 2 colours, below the citywide average or above it, and you can actually get a sense of demand in that suburb before you go to the auction that weekend.
All right. Thanks very much for that, gentlemen. Good luck buying this spring.
This show is brought to you by the Real Estate Institute of Victoria and realestateview.com.au.